Okay, so imagine this, right? Your cat, stuck on a roof.
Oh, no.
It's been 2 days. You're freaking out.
Oh, the poor thing.
So you do what any reasonable person would do in this day and age. You turn to the all-knowing AI for help.
Of course, yeah.
And you get these detailed instructions.
Mhm.
Perfectly reasonable, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what?
Right.
Cat's still stuck her.
It's a great analogy, though, for the realities of AI today. Wouldn't you say?
Correct.
Because people think it's this magic bullet,
Right.
It can solve anything. But the reality is it's much more nuanced than that, and especially when we're talking about the future of work.
Exactly. And to help us unpack all this nuance, we're diving into the work of Dr. Ioannis Klanavos. He's an expert kind of navigating this intersection of AI, education, and law. And we've got a stack of his insights from LinkedIn articles to YouTube talks. And let me tell you, he does not disappoint.
No. What I find so fascinating about his perspective, though, is how much he emphasizes that AI isn't just going to replace jobs wholesale, like some sci-fi movie, but it's poised to completely transform how we work across the board.
It's more about adaptation than annihilation.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And Klanavos, he lays out this concept he calls the automation paradox.
Okay.
Basically, AI excels at those kind of repetitive tasks, which, let's be honest, they make up a huge chunk of a lot of entry-level jobs.
A lot of jobs, period.
Right. He points to law and finance as prime examples.
Yeah, and it's already happening, right? We're seeing AI-powered tools taking on tasks like due diligence, contract drafting, things traditionally handled by, junior lawyers.
So what does this mean for someone just starting out in those fields? Are we looking at a future where AI cuts the line on the whole traditional career path?
See, that's the paradox that Klanavos highlights. On one hand, these tools can be incredibly efficient. It's like comparing a bulldozer to a shovel.
Okay.
But then we have to ask, what happens to all the shovel operators? It's not just about the task itself, right? It's about the skills and the experience that people gain from doing it.
So how do we navigate this shift? Does everyone need to become like an AI programmer just to stay relevant?
Well, and Klanavos actually argues that simply trying to out-cheap AI is a losing battle. The real opportunity, he says, lies in what he calls the skills premium.
Okay.
Offering something AI can't replicate. Superior service, creativity, complex problem solving. He uses legal tech as an example. Lawyers who master these AI tools, they're not being replaced. They're becoming invaluable because now they can offer customized contracts in hours, not days.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's like I can follow a recipe and bake, a decent cake, but I'm still going to happily pay a premium for a cake made by a pastry chef because their skill and artistry is on another level.
Exactly. They've leveraged their skills and experience, combined it with technology, and they're offering something truly unique and valuable. And that's where education comes in, right?
Yeah.
How do we equip people with the skills to thrive in this evolving landscape? Klanavos is very passionate about this, and he really believes that universities need a complete overhaul.
Wow.
It's not just about, tacking on an intro to AI class.
Yeah.
It's about fundamentally changing how we educate.
Okay.
Teaching students to work with AI,
Interesting.
not fear it, right?
Which is interesting because it feels like a lot of the conversation around AI in education right now is focused on banning it.
Right.
It's like trying to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, it's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with concerns about cheating and plagiarism.
Right.
But Klanavos makes a really compelling case that prohibiting these tools actually does students a disservice.
Right.
He compares it to banning calculators in math class.
Right.
Sure, you can learn long division,
Right.
but wouldn't your time be better spent mastering higher level concepts?
Golden. It's like you're not going to be a successful architect if you refuse to use anything other than a ruler and a protractor.
Precisely. And the best part is Klanavos walks the walk.
Okay.
He incorporates AI into his own teaching in some really fascinating ways.
How so?
Designing courses, generating exam questions,
Wow.
even creating podcast content.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
He uses AI to help produce his podcast.
He does. That's wild.
It is. And he had ChatGPT take an actual law exam.
What?
Just to test its capabilities,
What?
right?
So how'd it do? Did we just find the world's first AI lawyer?
It passed, but barely.
Okay.
Which actually reinforces his point, right?
Okay.
AI has its limitations.
Yeah.
This isn't about replacing human judgment.
Sure.
It's about understanding where AI shines and where it falls short.
It's about leveraging the right tools for the job.
Okay, so going back to this idea of a skills premium, if simply trying to outwork or outcheap AI is kind of a losing strategy, where does the human touch fit in? It's not like we're all going to become AI whisperers overnight, right?
That's a really important point because
Yeah.
Glenavos argues that while AI excels at those repetitive data-driven tasks,
Right.
there are certain inherently human skills that will be even more valuable in the future.
Okay.
Things like creativity, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, communication.
Yeah.
These are all things that AI hasn't quite mastered yet.
So it's less about becoming like an AI expert and more about kind of doubling down on what makes us uniquely human.
Exactly. And recognizing that those skills will be in high demand.
Okay.
He uses the example of lawyers again. He's arguing that while AI can draft a basic contract,
Right.
clients still crave that personal touch.
Right.
The bespoke advice, the empathetic ear, the ability to navigate the nuances of like a complex legal battle.
It's like the difference between ordering a mass-produced item online
Yeah.
versus, working with an artisan to create something custom-made just for you.
Right.
Both have their place,
Yeah.
but there's a certain value and appeal to that human touch,
Yeah.
that
I see.
personal connection.
Absolutely. And this is actually where Glenavos brings up a really crucial aspect of navigating this AI-driven future.
Transparency.
Transparency. You mean like disclosing when we're using AI?
Yeah.
Why is that so important? It's like that feeling you get when you realize, oh, I've been talking to a chatbot online this whole time
Right.
instead of an actual person. And suddenly that interaction feels like
Right.
less genuine, less trustworthy.
Totally.
So in a world that's increasingly reliant on AI, that sense of trust just becomes even more important.
Right, exactly.
And Glenavos argues that being upfront about when and how we're using these tools, whether it's with clients, students, even in our own creative work,
Uh-huh.
that's crucial for building and maintaining that trust.
Yeah. And it's tough because, we're seeing all this anxiety around AI-generated content.
Totally. Yeah.
And all these tools popping up claiming to be able to detect it.
Right. It's like this whole cat and mouse game.
It is, and Glenavos actually brings this up as an example of misplaced focus.
Okay.
He's arguing that instead of pouring all of our energy into detection,
Okay.
which, let's face it, is always going to be flawed, remember the cat on the roof?
Right, yeah. We should be focusing on ethical development and use of AI from the start.
So it's less about kind of policing the output and more about establishing those ethical guidelines and practices from the ground up.
Exactly.
It's like, we teach people to be responsible writers, whether they're using a pen or a typewriter or, AI-powered software.
It's about fostering a culture of responsible innovation, transparency, and critical thinking around these tools.
I like that, yeah.
It's about empowering people to understand not just like how to use AI,
Right.
but when and why to use it.
Yeah.
And what the implications are.
Which brings us back to that image of the AI train leaving the station, right? It feels like we're past the point of even debating whether or not this is going to impact our lives.
We are.
It's already happening.
It is. It's already here.
And I love how Glenavos frames it.
Yeah.
He says, the question isn't whether you're for or against AI. It's whether you're going to be a passenger or get left behind.
I like that.
So good.
Yeah.
And the best part is, you don't have to be like a tech genius to get on board.
No, absolutely not.
Il parle de la façon dont il utilise l'intelligence artificielle pour rationaliser son propre travail et encourage tout le monde à commencer à explorer ces outils,
Juste
même à
trempez-vous un
petite
orteil,
échelle.
pas besoin de plonger tête la
Exactement.
première. Commencez à expérimenter pour voir ce que c'est.
Donc, pour toute personne qui écoute et qui se sent peut-être un peu dépassée ou incertaine sur la façon de commencer, quel serait votre conseil?
Je dirais juste. Commencez à explorer, vous savez, plonger dans le monde des outils d'IA. Même si c'est juste pour essayer ChatGPT ou expérimenter des générateurs d'images basés sur l'IA, comme Midjourney. Vous n'avez pas besoin de devenir expert du jour au lendemain. Commencez juste à vous familiariser avec ces technologies, à comprendre leur potentiel et surtout à réfléchir de manière critique à la manière dont elles peuvent être utilisées de manière éthique et efficace.
C'est comme tremper vos orteils dans le bassin peu profond, non? Pas besoin de faire un
Exactement.
saut périlleux du premier coup. Habituez-vous
Exactement.
simplement à être dans l'eau.
Oui,
Qui sait, vous pourriez même découvrir une nouvelle passion ou compétence en cours de route.
exactement.
L'avenir appartient à ceux qui sont prêts à apprendre, à s'adapter et peut-être même à enseigner une chose ou deux à ces robots.
Ça me plaît.
Merci d'avoir exploré tout ça avec moi.
Toujours un plaisir.
Vraiment fascinant. Oui, c'est vrai.